Is this up? Hey you guys, coming to you live right next to the border wall. We're here at the Pacific Crest National Scenic Trail, which is that was officially designed as that, but now it's the Pacific Coast Trail is what they call it. It's the PCT. It's a long distance hiking and equestrian trail. In fact, in 1968, and it's funny because on something you see it's about 2,650 miles. It goes from Mexico to Canada. And in 1968, it was designated as that through an act of Congress, but it was officially it wasn't officially complete until 1993. And so, but in 1932 is when it was conceived. The idea was by Clinton Churchill Clark. And it's pretty interesting because we're right here along the border wall, and this has been something that was actually brought forward through I apologize, Thoreau. So it was formed by Clark to both plan the trail and to lobby the federal government to protect the trail. The conference was founded by Clark and the Boy Scouts, the YMCA, and Ansel Adams, among others, from 1935 through 1938. And YMCA groups explored 2,000 miles of potential trail and planned a route, which has been closely followed by this route model. And then... So this zigzags about 2,650 miles, like I said, from Mexico to Canada, and it spans 3 states, crosses national monuments, about 7 national parks, 25 national, 7 national parks, 25 national forests, the Bureau of Land Management, federally designated wilderness, state and county parks, and tribal lands. And it's interesting that it's just right here along the border. In fact, there's you know, the border wall will stop in certain areas along here, which is interesting because there'll be large gaps that are, you know, where they just didn't build it. And so from Campo down this way to Tecate, there's a huge gap in where the wall is built. And then if you go down this way, as I'm looking back that way, it's going towards Jacumba. And when you get to a certain point there, it also stops. So it's interesting just to see, you know, how things go. And this is right next to a trail that, you know, seemingly a lot of people use for either walking or using horses, so equestrian riding. And you're not allowed to do any kind of motorized vehicles or bikes on here. And so it's quite interesting to see that. And they've been wanting to, you know, sit and take and preserve a lot of land, which, I mean, I understand that, but they're kind of taking out people being able to recreate in these areas. And so not only does it do federal designated wilderness, but state and county parks and tribal lands. And so along the way, it ascends more than 50 major mountain passes and skirts the shores of innumerable bodies of water. You know, so at night, too, it can get really, really cold, but during the day, it can get it over into, you know, over the 100-degree mark, and at night, below freezing. So, and that's what kind of happens here along the border. I find, like, it doesn't matter if you're in San Ysidro or if you are out in Jacumba, it will get extremely hot, but it's super windy. So it's kind of like, if it's really hot, the wind is just blowing at you. It's almost like, you know, a hair dryer type of stuff. And then as soon as the sun goes down, the temperatures drop so dramatically, and the wind stays picked up. So, you know, when they're starting fires and different things down in those areas, it's not very smart to do, because it could, you know, start a brush fire by just blowing, you know, some ambers that are going to go and light something up quite dramatically. And so the lowest point of this is 180 feet above sea level at the Columbia River Gorge between Oregon and Washington. So, I mean, if you look at the map, it's all along the west coast that it goes from Mexico to Canada, and it's kind of neat. It's pretty much anywhere that you are within, you know, probably 2 to 4 hours, you would be able to come to this trail as long as you're along the west coast. And so you would be able to, you know, seemingly take that. trail all the way up, and so but its highest point is 13,153 feet at Foster Pass in California, Sierra Nevada. It encompasses a great elevation range of any national scenic trail, traversing 6 of the North America's 7 economic zones. So the alpine tundra, the subalpine forest, upper montane forest, lower montane forest, upper Sonoran, and lower Sonoran. And there's a lot of wildlife. As you can see, this is, you know, pretty open, and there's not a lot of development, so you're going to have a lot more wildlife that's able to kind of thrive in these areas where, you know, it's funny because they, like the counties or, you know, even the state, when they're sitting and wanting to pretend to protect the environment, you know, they more want to do studies and like come in and act like they're going to be able to mitigate just wildlife being there. But I mean, it can thrive on its own as long as we kind of leave things alone. But the more, you know, people mess with stuff, it's interesting. So, but it's been designated for pedestrian and equestrian traffic. Like I said, motorcycles and bicycles and vehicles are not permitted. And so within a short drive from San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Sacramento, Portland, and Seattle, it's easily accessible along this route. And obviously you're not going to get, you know, the border wall going all the way up because it's going along the ocean as it's going up the coast. But it would be interesting to see what it looks like on the Canadian border if there is a wall like this. That probably not, right? That's what's so funny. But it's just, you know, pretty much wide open. And I know there's people coming from that area too. So that's something that we need to, you know, we'll eventually get into. But just to see the difference on the borders and like, you know, how, because I find that with this wall here, it seems like more people cross with it there and up than they did when it wasn't up. And so, you know, how is that in, you know, Canada? And how are they feeling? Like, are they just seeing, you know, a lot of people just kind of crossing, and what do they do about that? I mean, I don't know if they're, that's something I need to look into. I'm just kind of like thinking on my own. But so we're going to bring you some more lives today. We're going to be going longer. Yeah. So. No.
The break in the audio.
Oh, right.
You did right now. That's good, right? Just so I can.
Yeah.
End that segment.
That's what I was thinking. Okay. I just want to make sure it wasn't. Yeah. No, so.
Take a good break.
Yeah. Okay, so what we're going to be doing, and from here, is we're going to be going down to Cacumba, and I just got word there's about 177 illegals there down in Incopaz, so we will be coming to you and bringing you some more live coverage, as well as we're also going to be going to Tecate, so there's many things that we're going to be covering for you today. We actually had stopped by the Ramada this morning, and there were no buses outside, but there was the shuttle buses that they have, and one was parked out front, and there was people in the tent that they have that they're getting ready to process and bring to the airport with their wonderful concierge service that they give people. And then went over to the 4 Points, which a bus was right past the gate where they were. And that's, I'm not sure, they could have been dropping people off. It's a wonder because the side was open, the bus was off, and normally they leave them there idling. So they could have just been brought in. And then as soon as we left there and went to the CPH office, which is now run by Jewish Family Services, that is actually filled with asbestos, which is crazy because that's why the California Highway Patrol wanted to leave the building. I mean, partially, like they were saying in it, that it was because of needing more space. But I'm pretty sure when you have a building filled with asbestos, that's probably the reason, and then you just wound up finding more property. But I don't believe that their intent on leaving was really about the space, but it was about health issues and things like that. And that was something, some information that we found out yesterday being there. But they had just dropped off some illegals there. They're at that location. That shelter, they come from the CBP1 app, people that are picked up from San Ysidro and taken there in the charter buses. And so they went there and they were being processed behind these tents. That's something that we haven't really had a chance to catch, is them actually sitting there and processing them. Actually had a gentleman, actually it wasn't a gentleman, a dude, you know, flip us off and was like, you know, F you for being here. And it's like, F you for being in my country. How about you fly back home? That's what's so sad, is you see things like that. And even if we're just covering it, you know, they tend to just be really aggressive. And they had all of their employees put on masks, which was really funny, because it was like, that's what they're told to do. I don't know if you caught when we were down at the San Ysidro border wall, where they open it up and there's an NGO there, it's OADS, and we were reading their form. It's like they actually say that in there, that, you know, how to deal with people like us that are, they would call you an anti-migrant, or, you know, some journalist that is, you know, anti all of this stuff that's going on. So they really want to protect these people and make sure that they feel safe. And, you know, if they don't, the workers to put on a mask and just make sure you're taking pictures. It is the exact playbook that they all do. So it's funny to see him do that, because this girl wound up going around and, you know, passing out masks so they could put them on, and most of the illegals there had them on, but they get this green bracelet, probably just to say that they're detained there, which they're not detained, but you know, so it's been interesting to see kind of that unfold. And as soon as we were there and left to come down and give you guys live border coverage along the border here, there was another bus that went back to the 4 Points, and actually our friends saw a different van. There was actually 2 people outside of there, which we had seen before another time. There were some people waiting outside there that weren't even really allowed to be let in to the compound. But they were asking us for help, and I thought, I mean, you should be able to go up to those people and ask them. I mean, I don't understand why they would be told to go and sit outside that location. However, our friend Justin said, not Justin, Gambler, whatever, he wound up seeing 2 more individuals that were sitting outside there, but also this dark van. And this gentleman had, well, I don't know why I call him gentleman, whatever, this man had, I'm just trying to be polite, a gang tattoo on his face. And it, not positive, and I'm not saying that this is a for sure, but it could allegedly be an MS-13 type of a tattoo on his face, and was really kind of aggressive, but was talking to these people and then wound up leaving. But everything that they're doing is very nefarious. I mean, yesterday when we were doing the event, the rally to protest outside of these locations, there's some drone footage, and I posted it on the links for when we were doing that for the live, and this man was just from head to toe dressed in, like, you know, protective gear, but he also was protecting his face. He had sunglasses on him and he had gloves on. It was like anything he could do to hide his face, or just body, or anything that would help you recognize who they are. And that's where you just got to know how nefarious it is. And these people just don't, you know, they will do anything to protect this organization, this machine, this money laundering operation, more not organization, but operation. And so it's just interesting to see that. So we're gonna, you know, it's not gonna stop us. And actually it was funny, because when we were at the 4 Points, this guy that was there, one of the security guards, said, the police told you that you were trespassing yesterday. And I said, no, they didn't, but good try. So it's like they try and make it, and he's like, oh, I heard him. And I'm like, you didn't even talk to him, so I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, at the JFS, at Jewish Family Services, at the CHP old office, where there's asbestos now, and they're having kids be in there. It's kind of disturbing. So anyway, we will be coming to you live down from Jacumba, and thank you for joining us right now. Again, we are at the Pacific Crest National Scenic Trail. This goes from Mexico all the way up to Canada. Actually, I think it's like, yeah, Canada goes that way. I'm like, it's weird because it comes along Mexican border, like, and then it goes north. So it's a little bit confusing when you're looking at the layout, because right now I'm seeing it, it's going, you know, east to west.
Sorry, right there.
Oh, right there. Oh, that's why. See, that's why. I was thinking, I'm like, why does it go that way? See, that's idiot. Yes. Sometimes I was wondering, because this is right here. Whatever. Anywho, so it goes that way, and now that makes more sense. And then technically there's Mexico. Actually, it's probably about 6 feet on the other side of the fence. So anyway, we will be coming to you live and giving you more coverage. So thank you guys for joining us.